Happy Lazy Sunday and Dymension to Cryptocito, which is a YouTube channel that is focused on the Cosmos ecosystem. I really appreciate each and everyone who is subscribed and likes each of these videos. It really means a lot and helps boost visibility to an ecosystem which I think is going to have its time. We're just waiting our turn, but in my view, it is going to come sooner than later. We're seeing price movements today in the past 24 hours. Some coins are up, some coins are down. Nothing really much is happening. Akash AKT had a little bit of a breakout this morning, 438. Also, Saga up 8%, $2.52 now, with the highly anticipated Vault 8 airdrop that is around the corner. So keep an eye on Saga as well. Gonna give out another juicy airdrop. And yeah, everything else is going sideways. I think Torchain Rune is one coin that's that I've been stacking recently that's lagging a little bit behind and has been underperforming over the past few weeks. But I think this is exactly the time where it makes sense to stack. Anyways, we have an important announcement to make for all Comdex, UMEE, Migaloo, and Casper network delegators to Stakecito. We're sunsetting those nodes mainly because of economic sustainability reasons. This is what we always do once a year. We're kind of reassessing all the chains we're validating on. Doesn't make sense from an economic point of view, and most of these chains we've been running for many years, but yeah, they just haven't been really sustainable financially, so we're shutting those down, and you have 1 full month to now find a new validator. To find a new validator, just redelegate your tokens and you're fine, and that only applies for CMDX, UX, Whale, and CSPR. Anyways, we truly appreciate everyone who has been delegating to us on those chains, and we wish also the best for the future for all of those projects. Now, on this Lazy Sunday, I just want to share some ideas with you, just some strategies, and also we're going to look into which project has potential to pull a Hyperliquid airdrop move, because the Hype airdrop was by far the biggest airdrop we've ever seen in crypto history. Now we are speaking well over $2.5 billion that was airdropped to the Hyperliquid community. Anyways, before we get into all of that, first a quick strategy idea. Basically, now that Inter Protocol lowered their borrow fee to near zero, it's pretty much at zero right now, means it is very appealing to borrow IST stablecoins with your LSTs, your liquid staking token, as a collateral, and use that in something like Megavault that is currently paying 46% APR in USDC, right? So you deposit USDC here and you're getting USDC, and currently it's 46% APR. Obviously this fluctuates based on the performance of the Vault strategy, but also they're going to implement a 50% revenue share for Megavault, which means there's going to be a lot more revenue sources and also more stable yield in that pool, which is really cool. Now, the way you can gain exposure here is by coming on Inter Protocol, going on launch app, and you'll be landing here. And from here, I'm going to give it over to Tang, who is a researcher here at Cryptocito, and he's going to explain you step by step how you can deploy this strategy, borrow IST, and use it to get into this juicy 46% APR pool on Dydx.
GM guys, this is Tang from the Cryptocito team, and today I'm going to walk you through strategies where you can earn extra yields on your liquid staking tokens by using Inter Protocol and Dydx Megavault. So let me just briefly explain how it works. So basically, you will use your liquid staking token as a collateral to borrow stablecoin and put that stablecoin into Dydx Megavault. You can use these strategies with any borrow and lending protocols in Cosmos, like Mars Protocol. But the thing is, Inter Protocol just lowered their minting fees to 0.01%, which means it only costs you 0.01% in order to borrow stable tokens. Compared to like Mars Protocol, you will have to pay around 10 to 15% in order to borrow USDC. So it's basically free to borrow a stable token on Inter Protocol, and then you can plug those stable token into Dydx Megavault in order to earn 50% APR on top of that stable tokens. Sounds juicy, right? Okay, so let me walk you through how to do it real quick. So first, visit app.inter.trade. So right now they support Atom, SD Osmo, and SD Tier as collateral to borrow IST. But in the future, they will also support drop money token like D-Atom. So you can also borrow against your D-Atoms. So for this tutorial, I will using SD Tier. So before we start, if you need some BOD for gas, you can go to go.skip.builds and then swaps like $0.1 to BOD on Agoric for gas. You can also move your liquid stake token to the Agoric chain using this interface. Back to this one. So first, I will select SD tier. Then you have to configure your vault parameters. I will lock up the maximum amount of tier that I have, and I will just mint 5 IST for the example. And then click on Create Vault. Click on Approve. So I just finished borrowing IST using SD tier as collateral. And now head toward go.skip.build and swap your IST to USDC on Dydx. So I will select IST on Agoric. and swap it to USDC on the Dydx exchange. So click on swap. So after you approve your transaction in your wallet, all right, I think it just finished and I already have USDC on the Dydx exchange. So head toward dydx.trade/vault and then confirm your pending deposits. So $5 just arrived on my Dydx account. So click on continues and start the transaction in your wallet. So after you deposit USDC into your Dydx account, now you can deposit that USDC into the Dydx Megavault. So I will deposit $5 into the Dydx Megavault, and yeah, just input the number and click on review deposit. Click on agree with the terms and confirm the deposit. Then you just need to sign the transactions. Congratulations, now you have done. So one last important thing before I'm ending this tutorial. So on Interprotocol, so please keep track of the liquidation price of the ST tier vault on Interprotocols. If the price of ST tier go near to your liquidation price, just head toward the Dydx Mega Vault, take the USDC that you just deposit and repay the debt that you borrow here, and you are fine. That's it for today. I hope you have a good time exploring Cosmos DeFi. Follow us for more content like this and see you the next time.
Also sharing some quick updates on Mantra. The airdrop is still going to take a few days until it gets claimable, but it should come any moment now. So keep your eyes peeled for the first batch of the airdrop to be distributed. This is still a $170 million airdrop at the price of $3.52 per which is nuts. Very, very nice to see for all cosmonauts. Staking APR is around 19%. This thing just launched, the mainnet just launched literally a month ago, and they're still in the early phase of rolling out, also compiling the validator set. We're not there yet with Stakecito. This is just a kind of closed permission set for now. Also, you see all the association or foundation nodes here ranking on top. But we're going to be here with Stakecito. So once you receive the airdrop, and if you just want to stake and forget, then we truly appreciate every one of you who is delegating to the Stakecito node. On other news, we also have the Sherpa Memecoin, which is the beta play on Mantra, similar to how Spice is the beta play on Akash network. And Sherpa went above 2 cents here, 2.3 cents, which implies a roughly 4x from the StreamSwap launch. But if Sherpa can become the official meme coin of Mantra, which right now I think the core team is definitely aware, and I'm sure they also bought some Sherpa. But if they can make this what sloths are to Celestia, I think this has potential to pull a 10, 20, maybe even 100x from here, right? Because right now it's just at around $1.5 million FTV. So yeah, Sherpa, I got my bags locked and loaded. I also have some Spice. No, I have a lot more Sherpa, but then I have Spice, but I also have Spice. And I also have Atom 1K LFG, another meme coin that was launched by the Atom community. So yeah, and overall, I think meme coin volumes are also increasing here on Osmosis itself. So you can see, if you filter by volume, Sherpa, 350K roughly, Spice 140K, then Chihuahua, Shiba Inu, Ninja, and then Dogecoin. So yeah, anyways, that's all about that. Also Chihuahua, obviously the OG meme coin in Cosmos, which I always hope is going to have its time and its moment. Sherpa also now has a Twitter account, Sherpa on Cosmos, which I just gave a follow, and it got introduced with the famous walkout by JP, founder of Mantra. Now, Mantra is a tokenization and RWA play, and in my view, is also going to do really well in this field. It's actually dominating the entire RWA category right now. We talked a lot about tokenizing this $500 million real estate project here in Dubai, also other real estate projects and other just real world assets that are getting tokenized. Then also recently they talked about bringing BlackRock's MMF fund on Mantra chain. But I think there's also going to be different flavors of RWA infrastructure, right? And Aleph Zero is one of them that now finally woke up. We literally talked about it around literally here where I said like this thing looked like it bottomed out at around 30 cents. I think it even wicked slightly below that. 27 cents was the absolute low here. Now it pulled almost a 3x from here, 2.5x. Currently sitting at 340 million FTV. This is an L1 blockchain built on Substrate. The Aleph Zero team, one of the smartest, most technical minds I've ever talked to. I've been in touch with them for over two and a half years now. They're also media partners here at the Cito Zone and Cryptocito. We've been working with them for the past 4 or 5 months or more than that. And yeah, they're super technical, but also now they're rolling out their DeFi ecosystem, their own suite of apps, and also are doubling down on enterprise adoption, which I think now with this new political race to embrace crypto and Bitcoin and not try to kill it, I think they're well positioned to capture value on all ends, right? They also fully redefined their tokenomics in the bear market just a few months ago. We made a whole video series on that as well. And now they're also starting to fractionalize RWAs, but also mix it up with privacy, right? Because Aleph Zero originally is a project focused on privacy. ZK, they also implement other privacy standards, but primarily they're also using ZK for privacy and scalability. So Aleph Zero is also now tokenizing assets and adding a kind of shielding factor to it, right? So you can also shield your assets and make RWAs private again. You just saw it here. So this is just one of the fields that our Aleph Zero is active in, but I think it makes sense to also capture some value in the RWA sector. Also, another play that is more of an infra play, more of the kind of underlying technological interoperability infrastructure, is Axelar network, which is a full-on Cosmos blockchain. So Aleph Zero is substrate build, Axelar is Cosmos SDK build, and the team behind Axelar is actually also founding members of Algorand. We had Sergey here on the channel many times since over 3 years. I've also been a private investor into Axelar in 2021, so a very long time ago. And it's just good to see how they have positioned themselves also now in the interoperability field for RWAs, right? They also have this partnership with Mantra, which they also talked about at Cosmoverse. And if you look at some of the stats for Axelar, it leads me to think that the AXL coin is severely undervalued. They have routed $10 billion in value since they launched, even though they have now also more and more native assets being issued, which kind of makes the need for interoperability standards like Axelar a little bit less urgent. But nonetheless, Axelar continues to build out their interoperability layers and rails, connecting now over 70 chains. You can come here on chains, and you'll see there are 70 chains and 167 assets that you can trade cross-chain, across multiple chains, multiple ecosystems. And they're also now launching their MDS, Mobius Development Stack, which is a new interoperability standard, which is based on the interchain stack, but also branching out into other ecosystems. So Axelar, in my personal opinion, also a must-have in everyone's portfolio if you want to have exposure to kind of the interoperability narrative, now I guess also the RWA narrative, but also definitely as a flagship Cosmos project. And this coin belongs on page 1. Another coin that belongs on page 1 and probably will get there in the next phase of the project is going to be Dymension. And I think it has been quite quiet around Dymension over the past months, but now they have a major upgrade coming up, the 3D upgrade, which is going to bring permissionless launch and deployments of rollups. So far, we only have 2 rollups that are built on Dymension, and you can see that here if you go on portal.dymension.xyz/rollups. Only NIM network and Monday network that have a combined TVL or value of a market cap of around 29.5 million USD. So not much going on, to be quite honest here. But I think now they're entering the next phase. And in this interview with Stakecito co-founder Serge, aka Nemos, with Yishai, co-founder at Dymension, they talk about all of that. It's only 34 minutes. If you watch it on 2x, it's like 17 minutes. So give this a listen on this lazy Sunday. And you learn all about also initial roll app offerings, which is a new thing that they have implemented. And you can also play around with their testnet here, playground.dymension.xyz. You'll see all the roll apps that are listed here. There's literally hundreds of them, and also IROs that are listed right here. You can connect your wallet and then have fun on the Dymension playground. Another coin that I want to give a shout out today, simply because I know it made a lot of retail people very rich, and that is always a net positive for the entire crypto world, right? My philosophy is, yes, I'm a Cosmos guy, but I also love to see other ecosystems win. $9.52, which implies almost 10 billion FTV for Hyperliquid, which is nuts. That means, like, I think the airdrop should be around $3.5 to $4 billion right now. This is something that is good to see, right? Retail people making money, getting huge airdrops, and maybe Hyperliquid is going to make airdrops great again. It's going to bring back the airdrop meta, the airdrop narrative, because I know a lot of you are getting impatient. They need a payday, and I understand also airdrops are very addictive, right? Once you get a big airdrop, you're kind of, okay, what's the next one? Like, I need to get another big payday, right? Luckily in Cosmos, we get constant paydays, like the Saga airdrop, for example, even the Stride airdrop, and many others. But the Saga one is the one that, you know, already gave us monthly airdrops pretty much since they launched in, was it April, I think. So the Saga airdrop has been very nice, but a Hyperliquid one as well, obviously. And now the question is, what's next, right? Which is the next big airdrop? And I have a small list of a few projects. This is just like literally based on 2 hours of research this morning, just browsing through some ideas to share for today's video. But I think this is exactly also the things that I'm looking at, right? Mitosis, for example. Mitosis is basically if you are familiar with Cosmos terms, Hydro on steroids, Hydro for crypto, basically, right? Hydro being a liquidity auction platform, and Mitosis expands that from protocol-owned liquidity to ecosystem-owned liquidity while being its own layer 1 blockchain built on the Cosmos SDK. And they now just launched their game of MITO, which is their testnet campaign that is open now until December 22nd. So, and those things are always, obviously there's very likely going to be an airdrop. I can't, guarantee it, of course. Like, I don't know, I'm not part of their team. But very likely that there's going to be an airdrop for that. So it makes sense, especially now after seeing what happened to Hyperliquid, to play around with this stuff, right? And we've been always saying this here on the channel. Whenever you hear about something, new testnet launch, movement, Initia, Mitosis, Berachain, Story Protocol, you name it, you have to play around with that stuff if you want to maximize your chances to get big airdrops, like potentially the Hyperliquid one. And the higher the tide goes in crypto, the more likely that a $5 billion FTV, $10 billion FTV is happening, right? Because in the end of the day, if you want big airdrops, you want high FTV at launch. Right? And it might sound weird because a lot of people have said low float, high FTV is the true cancer of crypto. But if you want big airdrops, fully unlocked from day one, then you actually want that. You want exactly that, right? You want low float, high FTV because that means your airdrop is just going to be worth a lot of money, right? And yeah, Mitosis could be the one. Go on this testnet right now, testnet.mitosis.org, and play around with that stuff. And then, of course, Berachain. Berachain, in my view, best positioned to pull a hype airdrop move. This one is going to launch at, in my view, at least also a $10 billion FTV. For Mitosis, I'm not sure, probably also a few billion, but Berachain, I think that's also the thing about Berachain. Everyone has these insanely high expectations. Like anything below 10 billion FTV, I think would be kind of disappointing for people. And anything below at least 9-figure airdrop, I would say, probably even a 10-figure airdrop, like hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of dollars. Hyperliquid now set the bar insanely high. Berachain, they have their own NFT collection. They have their testnet license a long time. And yeah, we'll see if they also reward any Cosmos ecosystem stakers. Maybe not, but maybe they will. Who knows, right? They also want to target, obviously, the kind of EVM community, Berachain being a fully EVM compliant blockchain and compatible blockchain. But we'll see. Berachain could be one. Another one that could do a giant airdrop is Babylon. So it also makes sense to keep an eye on Babylon because Babylon does not have a token live yet, but you can farm points by depositing BTC into the Babylon protocol. So right now all caps are filled and you cannot do that actually, but the caps will be raised come December 10th and they will be open for an entire week. And in the first 300 blocks, the incentive for you to stake fast and stake a lot is going to be much higher because the points that you're farming in the first 300 blocks, I think is it 100,000 points or something? But it's going to go down to 21,000 for the remaining 700 blocks. So be fast if you have some BTC sidelined and you want to put them into Babylon in order to farm these points because they might actually translate into baby tokens later on, Babylon tokens. So that's that. And then there might also be another kind of airdrop, hopefully also for the Cosmos community. Obviously, Babylon also is a full-on Cosmos SDK blockchain and proud cosmonauts, one of the lead sponsors at Cosmos this year in Dubai. And they have been sponsoring Cosmos, by the way, since 2022, since Medellin, Colombia. In Medellin, Babylon had their coming out of stealth, right? So did Say Network and Saga as well, right? I think Medellin by far was the biggest alpha-packed conference that I've ever done in terms of, early stage projects that turn out to be multi-billion dollar chains. Then also Story Protocol, which is another one that raised hundreds of millions, I think 150 or even $200 million at a multi-billion dollar valuation, right? Same for Babylon. They raised 120 million, I think, and then Berachain raised over 200 million. So I think those three alone are going to do big airdrops. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what the criteria are, what the lockup scenarios are, if any. And also remember that Story Protocol, they have their mascot, right? I think it's called IPI. So this is the thing, right? You have to watch out for those beta play meme coins, but also mascot coins for each chain, right? And especially if they're launching this pre-mainnet, I think is a strong indication, right? Like Jenny on Initia or Turbo on Eclipse. We talked about this also a couple of weeks ago. Like just buying a small amount here and there might translate into a big airdrop later on. But yeah, I also understand like the airdrop game is getting very, very complex and you actually have to know a lot about the project, the team, the culture of that chain and be part of the community in order to know what kind of makes sense to acquire and to play around with before TGE. But Story Protocol, definitely one that you should also be playing around with on their testnet, the Odyssey testnet. You can get to the faucet right here and play around with that. And yeah, that's all for today. That's your homework for today, is to play around with these testnets, get familiar with Mitosis, with Berachain, with Babylon, with Story Protocol. And also, of course, do not forget to register your slots for a potential move airdrop by Movement Network Foundation. Just to go there, verify your account, and link your address to prove and register your sloth. And that way, I guess you will be eligible for that move airdrop. That is also probably going to be a juicy one. So anyways, that's all for today. You have some homework to do, but also take it easy on this Sunday, on this lazy Sunday. Enjoy the pump, embrace the pump, celebrate each other's victories, and I'll see you guys very soon. Until then, stay safe and be good.